In the quiet dawn of Berk, the wind carried the salty smell of the sea and the faint, rhythmic breathing of dragons. Hiccup stood on the edge of a cliff, gazing down at Toothless, who was gracefully circling the training arena below. Today was different. Today, the young Vikings of Berk would face their greatest challenge yet, the test of trust. For weeks, Hiccup and his friends had been pioneering a new way learning to work with dragons instead of fighting them. Astrid, Snot-Lout, Fishlegs, and the twins, Roughnut and Toughnut, had all bonded with their own dragons. But the villagers, hardened by generations of war, remained skeptical. Chief Stoic, Hiccup's own father, demanded proof that this radical idea wasn't just a boy's fantasy. The test was simple in concept, but perilous in execution. Each Viking would ride their dragon through the treacherous Misty Canyon, a winding path filled with razor-sharp rocks, fierce crosswinds, and the echoing roars of wild, territorial dragons. The goal: reach the other side before sunset. The one unbreakable rule: no weapons. Their only tools were trust and teamwork. Hiccup gently adjusted Toothless's saddle, whispering, "Ready, bud." Toothless responded with a deep, contented purr and spread his powerful wings, his green eyes gleaming with anticipation. The other riders lined up beside them. Astrid, perched confidently on her natter, Stormfly, shot Hiccup a playful smirk. "Try to keep up, Hiccup," she challenged. Snot-Lout, ever the show-off, grinned proudly from atop Hookfang. "This'll be easy. Just watch and learn." A horn blast echoed across the island. The race had begun. The dragons launched into the sky, a vibrant fleet diving between jagged rock formations and swirling clouds. The Misty Canyon quickly lived up to its name. A thick, disorienting fog blanketed everything, making it nearly impossible to see. Hiccup leaned close to Toothless, putting his faith in his dragon's senses. "Use your echo, bud," he urged. Toothless let out a soft, low growl, sending sound waves bouncing through the canyon, painting a sonic map of the path ahead in Hiccup's mind. Suddenly, a terrifying screech tore through the mist. A wild dragon emerged from the fog, a monstrous, whispering death. Its rows of spinning teeth and glowing, malevolent eyes struck fear into the young riders. They scattered in panic. Hookfang spun out of control, and Snot-Lout yelled, "He's after me! Do something!" Astrid tried to create a diversion, throwing rocks to draw its attention. "Over here!" she shouted, but the whispering death was relentless and fast, firing sharp spikes from its mouth that barely missed Stormfly. Hiccup knew fighting was not an option. "We have to outsmart it," he yelled over the wind. He guided Toothless higher, luring the wild dragon towards a narrow tunnel in the canyon wall. "Follow me," he called to the others. They hesitated for a second, but Astrid, trusting Hiccup's lead, flew close behind. Inside the tunnel, the walls shimmered with strange, glowing crystals. Toothless fired a precise, contained plasma blast at the crystals, triggering a brilliant explosion of light that momentarily blinded the whispering death. "Now!" Hiccup yelled. Toothless and the other dragons dove out of the tunnel just as it began to collapse behind them, trapping the massive creature inside. They burst back into the open sky. The sun was already sinking low on the horizon. They were running out of time. But their troubles weren't over. The storm winds were picking up, growing stronger. Roughnut and Toughnut's headed dragon, Barf and Belch, was caught in a crosswind and began spinning wildly. "We're gonna crash," they screamed in unison. Hiccup glanced down at the canyon floor far below, a deadly maze of sharp rocks and crashing waves. "Hold on," he shouted. Toothless folded his wings and dove like a stone, slicing through the powerful wind. At the very last second, he fired a plasma blast directly under the twins' spiraling dragon, creating an updraft of air that stabilized them and lifted them back up. Roughnut gasped, "You saved us." Hiccup just smiled. That's what friends do. By the time they cleared the canyon, the sun was just touching the water. They landed together on the far cliff, exhausted but exhilarated. Chief Stoic and Gobber were there, waiting. The chief crossed his massive arms. "So, you made it back alive," he said, his voice gruff, but his eyes betraying a hint of pride. Astrid stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "We didn't just survive, sir. We worked with them. They saved us." Stoic's gaze fell upon Toothless, who stood protectively at Hiccup's side. For the first time, a look of understanding crossed the chief's face. He gave a slow, deliberate nod. Maybe these dragons aren't our enemies after all. The crowd of villagers who had gathered erupted in cheers as the young riders raised their fists in triumph. Toothless nudged Hiccup and purred, a soft vibration that seemed to say, "We did it." That night, as the village celebrated, Hiccup sat with Toothless by a crackling fire. "We're changing Berk, Bud," he whispered, stroking the dragon's head. One flight at a time, Toothless closed his eyes, his tail wrapping gently around Hiccup's feet in a gesture of absolute trust. But deep in the shadows beyond the cliffs, another pair of glowing eyes watched, belonging to a mysterious dragon, larger and darker than any they had ever seen. The next test of trust was coming sooner than they thought.